What other initiatives has Morocco embodied in its laws and its policies and its programs that champion participation, that makes the participatory approach central in its path? The National Initiative for Human Development. And in fact, His Majesty the King's announcement in 2005 of the National Initiative goes on to say that whereas sustainable development, when it was coined in the 80s by the UN to be an environmentally driven notion, Morocco's definition not only embodies participation, but if we have participation, that means if people participate, that means culture will be injected into that design process, right? Economic dimensions, political, technological, financial, geographic, environmental, historical. That people's participation, in fact, why does it lead to sustainability? Is because all of these points of view are brought into that dialogue dynamic that results in the definition of projects. It considers economic and cultural and historic and all those factors in its design, and therefore has a longer possibility of having long life. Are we together on this? Am I talking? Are we all right? All right. Let me just say one more. The municipal charter. All 1,500 municipalities of the nation have to create development plans based on people's participation. 1, 3, and 5 year plans. Now, in everything I'm saying, there are excruciating, painful results. There's positivity. There's enormous opportunity. But I sometimes hear from governors that they get all those participatory development plans from those municipalities within that jurisdiction, and they all look the same. How could that be? We need to be trained in participatory approaches. They don't just happen spontaneously. We need to facilitate that dialogue. We need to make sure that it's inclusive to women and men, young and old, the landless. And unless there's that third-party facilitator, how can we expect projects to be inclusive and have that benefit of sustainability? Okay. Here's the point of multiculturalism. It's also intended that multiculturalism in Morocco is to be advanced through the participatory method and result in development. It is not that multiculturalism is over here and that we preserve cemeteries and we do all these incredible things, but that those actions are meant to enhance livelihoods, improve our health, advance our education, make a difference in our lives today, here and now. And that's so hard. And I'm going to give you some examples how the two have worked well and where they have not. When I come into Dar, by the way, it's a total joy to be here. Dar Essaouira. You know, we should talk about Dar Essaouira because this is an incredibly important ground where we sit and stand. And I will tell you, in that room over there, we, meaning members of associations of the city of Essaouira, designed for themselves the restoration of the Muslim Christian, we talked about cemeteries, Muslim Christian and Jewish cemeteries, and to bring 450 youth of Essaouira into those cemeteries to learn about the past. Preservation, restoration, and education. And one cannot be without the other to be genuinely reflective of the Moroccan model. Let me say something about agriculture, and then show another example of multicultural development integration. Think about this. 70% of Morocco's land generates 10 to 15% of agricultural revenue. 70% of agricultural land, 10 to 15% of revenue. 80% of those who experience poverty in this nation are in rural places. Why? What's being grown on those lands? I've asked myself that, and I'll answer. Barley and corn. The nation has to import more than 50% of those staples. It's no longer viable for the people. And so there's a major transition happening in this nation toward fruit tree agriculture. What happens when a nation needs 1 billion trees and millions of people are demanding those trees? What happens to the price of trees? Up to points of unaffordability. Now we just heard in Driouche, in the north of the nation, northeast, that a single tree is now 40 dirhams. When we started in the 90s, it was 7. So what do we need to do, which is what we're doing? We need to plant nurseries, right? Community, and that's what the people say. What we need to do is really to follow what the people prioritize. And so, in order to plant nurseries, we need land, right? And how long does it take to seed to become a sapling? Again, I'm asking myself this question. 2 years. Can we forego our land for 2 years? Well, we need crops this year. We need to provide for our children now. And so the contribution of land so that people can engage in this transition is absolutely essential. And so when I was a Peace Corps volunteer in the 90s, I saw this mountainside, and I saw this white building, and I didn't know what was inside, but I saw a barren mountainside. And if that mountainside could be terraced, there could be land. And then I come to learn that what was in that white building? The saint, Hebrew saint, David Moshe, 1,000-year-old saint. I came to this project not because I found a saint, but I found land beside the saints. And so what we have done, yes, the Haifetz Foundation, of which I'm so grateful to be part of, and when I say Gal Kramarski in the back, was part of for 6 months and had a profound impact on our women's empowerment approach, and I wish I could talk about that one day, inshallah. But I will say we get land from the Moroccan government. The Moroccan Jewish community can play a national role in the transition toward ending rural poverty. It's not, trees are not enough to end it. We need to process the product, we need to build cooperatives, we need to certify organic to increase the value of that product, we need to monitor for carbon offsets, but we also need to build nurseries. And so, in 1995, I left my service. 2012, how many years was that? Painful. I don't want to count. But decades, yeah, almost 2, between finding the land, the Moroccan Jewish community, transferring it over in kind, raising the money, planting, it took 17 years. And so that pilot nursery, which wasn't at the original place that I mentioned, but at Raphael Kohen, Trek and Izmiz, in Morocco, 150,000 seeds have been planted. There are 26,000 trees in Central Park. 150,000 for one saint. And those trees have been distributed in 23 provinces. And now, that original one that I saw 20-something years ago has been signed over to the Haifetz Foundation. The provincial government has done all the assessments needed and has granted authorization to commence. And we are just one yes away from starting to do it. And that's the financial person, and we got a tentative yes. How many years is that? 20, approach 25, 23. And there's a reason why I'm saying why it takes, why I counted these years. So there's another right here, a 300-year-old church, Franciscan church. It's respected, but completely dilapidated. And so we're working with the mayor's office to restore that church and then be transferred to civil society in order for them to have space to work, to have presentations, to have community meetings. Again, restore a church to advance people's development today. Provide land next to a Jewish cemetery in order to build the nurseries of the people. Shall I say a painful, but are these the exceptions? I think they're the exceptions. It's so difficult. Sustainability is grueling. And you know this. And this is getting to my last point. Second to last. Well, let's remind ourselves, facilitators. For you to be here, all here now, it took the Interfaith Coalition, it took Mimouna, it took El-Mehdi, who has a full-time job and does Mimouna every other moment. And it took years of his life, because I knew him 8 years ago in beautiful Ephraim, and that was a culmination of already years. How many years have you been a volunteer at El-Mehdi? 12. How many years have you all been volunteers? Not that many too, maybe. But isn't that unbelievable? But it takes that third party to bring people together. And it takes that third party for multiculturalism and development to be integrated and inclusive and participatory and reflect the ideals that are intended to be brought to life. But let's just remember that it is a lifetime, that it takes our deepest energy and beyond that, and it takes risk, which we spoke about in Marrakesh the other day. It takes suffering, not needless, and not welcomed, but kind of unavoidable. And it takes not knowing the results. It takes faith. Do I know, could I have known it would be a 20-something year path in order for a single nursery to know? And if I would have known back then, could I have spent that energy knowing only about 20 years? And is there still any guarantee of it? We don't know what seed will rise. And all we can do is be as genuinely inclusive as we can, and be as truthful to the process as possible. And I will say this, that I know you're young, a lot of you, right? Less than 30. By the way, how lucky you are. Right? Think about this. Yes, your deepest energy. Yes, years of commitment. But think about this bright side, which, for one, I'm constantly struck of saying to myself, boy, I wish I knew what you knew at your age. I wish. I didn't know people's participation until my mid-30s. I didn't know that we need to discover ourselves before we can genuinely participate in decision-making. That we need to build our own confidence and esteem and self-knowledge and belief before we can genuinely make the best decisions for ourselves. I had to be in my 40s for that. I didn't know that there is a most awful, oppressive reality that people of different color, of different gender, endure as a way of life. Until I was an adult, well into adulthood. And I say that with shame, and I say that with an apology. But you have something, not just that we don't have. And I'm 50, approaching 50. You have now, in the next 10 to 15 years, a medical breakthroughs where every single one of you should live until 120. And then in 30 years, another level of breakthroughs. You have every reason and possibility, and it's completely in your hand to live that long, knowing what you know, with the energy and belief and possibility that you have. I take that in a second. Give me 100 more years,
But people, you gotta be in your 20s to catch these waves at the right time, and 30s. Maybe I should not be pessimistic, but I'd rather be younger when these things happen. And so, that's really my message. Morocco is a possibility beyond belief that people's participation can occur in every 11,000 of its villages, in every of its neighborhoods. But there's no guarantee of anything unless we commit to this road of challenge and difficulty and yet salvation and joy. And how lucky you are to have this before you. And so I say to you, لعنكم وأنا بقول لكم بارك الله فيكم على أساس أولادي هم تعلموا منكم وشكرا بزاف بزاف. And let's bring our children to these things so that they can even be aware before teenagehood. Now.